I thought, let's get fit. So I signed up for this crazy popular fitness class called The name should have been my first red flag. Like, who names a fitness class Only people who wrestle bears for breakfast? That was my first clue that maybe this class wasn't for me. But alas, I went. The instructor looked like he wrestles bears for breakfast. And as I walked into the room, I heard him say, "Welcome to Inferno Corp, where we burn 600 calories in 45 minutes. I want it to be like, actually, it's more like 550 calories, but I didn't want to be that guy. Also, how do you know how many calories you're burning? I don't know. I just made that number up. But still, 550 calories in 45 minutes doesn't sound so bad, right? Totally doable. Like I can walk up a flight of stairs and burn 550 calories in 45 minutes. So I went to class with an empty stomach and an open mind. Maybe I would finally achieve peak physical fitness. Maybe I would finally fit into those slim-fitting jeans that I bought in hopes that I would someday fit into them. Spoiler alert, I never did. They're going in the trash. So the instructor starts talking about all the things that I can't do in this class. No phones, no talking, no complaining, no stopping to walk around, no peeing your pants. Well, that last one was actually directed at some guy in the front row. Apparently, he had done that in every class since September. Come on, man. It's October. Do your bladder a favor and just drink less water. You're not winning any awards for bladder capacity. Oh, wait. Actually, you are. You're winning the award for most bladder capacity in this studio. Congratulations. And then we started to warm up. It was horrible. There was jumping jacks, butt kicks, high knees, arm circles, and all these other exercises that I could do in my sleep. Except I could undo them in this class because they were really hard. And I immediately pulled something in my neck, but I powered through it. I was determined to finish the class even if it killed me. But the warm-up actually didn't kill me. It was when we started the actual workout that I knew I was in trouble. He had us start off with 20 squats and then hold the last one and then do 5 push-ups. Now, I can do a squat or two, but 20 squats, that's a bit much for me. It's like asking a hobbit to run a marathon. He has no idea what you're talking about. He'll probably look confused and then slowly shuffle away from you. Anyway, I got through the squats, but when I went to do the push-ups, I just laid there like a pancake. And the instructor came over and said, "Are you doing push-ups?" And I was like, Yes, I am doing push." I pushed myself up so hard that I ended up just doing one push-up and then flopping back down. And he was like, "Come on, man, you can do this." And I was like, "I can't do this." And he was like, "You can too." And I was like, "I can't." And then he just walked away from me, which is really rude. By the way, if your students are struggling, don't just walk away from them. Give them some encouragement. Maybe offer to carry them. Offer to carry them like a little baby. It's the nice thing to do. So after the push-ups, we did some sort of weird dance-a-dance exercise that left my arms, shoulders, and back aching. I don't remember what it was called. Something about Magic Johnson. He showed us this chart that had us take a marker and move across the chart based on how fast we could do certain exercises. So I took a marker and moved accordingly. I think I got to about here, and then I just kind of floated for the rest of the chart. After that, we did planks. And when it was time for regular planks, I tried to go hero form. You know, full plank, all the way up, trying to look cool, but my core muscles failed me. And I ended up just being on my knees again. I just wasn't having it. On the bright side though, because I wasn't moving, I noticed that a lady behind me had a tattoo of a purple dinosaur on her shoulder blade, which I thought was cool. I was like, wow, she's in great shape and she likes Barney. Then the instructor came over and put his hands on my shoulders and was like, "Do you feel like you're engaged in the exercises?" And I was like, "Barney." And he was like, "No, you need to engage your core." And I was like, "Okay." So I tried again, but then I just fell on my face. There was also a section where we had to hold our legs up in the air like we were praying to God for mercy, because that's what it felt like. Except the guy next to me wasn't praying to God. He was praying to Cthulhu because he was sweating profusely, and I could see his eyes turn black and roll back in his head. Was he meditating? Was he summoning demons? Who knows? All I know is that I could unkeep my legs up in the air. I just ended up dropping them, and then the instructor came over and shook his head at me. And I was like, "Whoop." And he was like, "You need to keep your legs up there." And I was like, "I tried." And he was like, "Try harder." And I was like, "How do you want me to try harder? I'm already trying really hard." And he was like, "Well, try harder than you're trying right now." And I was like, "But I am trying as hard as I can." And he was like, "Oh, well, then you must not be trying very hard because you can't keep your legs up there." And I was like, "Wait, are you saying that I'm not trying hard enough?" And he was like, "Well, yeah, I mean, if you were trying hard enough, you wouldn't be having trouble keeping your legs up there." And I was like, "Is this supposed to motivate me?" And he was like, "Yeah, it's supposed to motivate you. It's called constructive criticism." And I was like, "It's not constructive. It's not criticism. It's just mean." And he was like, "You're right. It's not constructive, and it's definitely not criticism. It's just me being an asshole. And I was like, thanks, Scott. And he was like, no problem, Chad. And I was like, how do you know my name? And he was like, it's on the sign-up sheet. And I was like, oh. And then I started crying. Then it was time for the final exercise, which was holding this weird position where you're basically sitting in a chair that isn't there. And while you're sitting in this fake chair, you have to pretend like you're on fire and you're running away from a bear that wants to eat you. I legitimately did that. I pretended like I was on fire and I ran around the room like a lunatic. And then I just stopped and I sat down on the floor and I was like, okay, I'm done. And the instructor was like, there's 30 seconds left. You can do it. And I was like, no, I can't. I'm sorry. I'm done. And he was like, all right, fine. You can sit there and cry or you can do the exercises. And I was like, nah, I'm good. And then I just stared at the wall while everyone else finished the exercise. Now, it is important to state that at no point during this class did I forget that I was supposed to be pretending to be on fire and running from a bear. I never broke character. But internally, I was screaming at myself to just stop. Like, why am I doing this? Why did I sign up for this class? I could be at home right now eating Cheetos and watching TV. But I decided to come here, and now I am on the floor in a fetal position, sweating profusely. And then it was over, and everyone clapped, and the instructor was like, good job, guys. You burned 550 calories. And I was like, wait, I thought we were supposed to burn 600 calories. And he was like, well, yeah, you burned 550 calories. You just didn't burn as many as the other people. And I was like, why is that? And he was like, because you're fat. And I was like, hey, that's not true. I'm not fat, I'm big boned. And he was like, well, that's even worse. Big boned or fat, the calorie burn doesn't change. And then he walked away. He literally just called me fat and then walked away. So anyway, that's why I stay unfit.